It's the comet you see in the sky right now. Passes over the Earth every 6 years and causes a portal right here. But when it's open, we get a visitor from a distant galaxy. I mean, he actually comes here from a place millions of light years away, looking for a fight with you, the chosen Jiu Jitsu. And if he doesn't get it, he stays and he kills everything. He taught our ancestors how to fight him. And you took an oath. And that's how he did it. That's how he gave you Jiu Jitsu.
Minglaba Kambia Comic Book Movie Oblivion Choso Bare Dwera Wunta Bare Jano Namega Jordan Ba Deepma Ba Jano Maisway Tu Namega Kumaba.
That's me.
Very good. Now, Kumar, of course, I was welcoming you to the podcast in the ancient 2,000-year-old language, the ancient 2,000-year-old alien language of Brax the Destroyer, and certainly not the modern Southeast Asian language, Burmese.
Yeah. Were you though?
That's just one of the many mysteries which is going to be revealed as we talk about this amazing film, which is, of course,
Jiu Jitsu.
Jiu Jitsu
From 2020. Pause the podcast.
No, this film. I think I already spoiled it.
There's some spoilers in it. It doesn't matter.
No.
Because I did not understand anything that happened in this comic or this movie, so I can only spoil it by accident. Because even if I recount what happened in the movie, it will not spoil it, because I won't be able to explain it in a way that makes any sense.
Brilliant. I completely agree. This film is impossible to spoil, and you're not going to watch it anyway.
And you're not going to get this comic. As I teased last week, this comic is impossible to find. Now,
that's another story in and of itself. I can't wait to hear you tell this.
Now, I know that there are at least 2 other copies in existence, because I've seen 2 different reviews of this comic on YouTube, and you saw one, so that's 3.
I did, yes.
So there's at least 3 out there. What happened was...
Unless it's like the cursed videotape from Ringu, and we're going to die in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I really don't know. So what happened was, in June, I was Googling around looking for where can I find this comic.
Yep.
And I found a copy was held by the Halifax Public Library in Canada, in Nova Scotia.
Amazing. I
have a friend who lives on that, near Halifax. I said, hey, do you ever use the library? He's like, yeah, all the time. Why? That's an odd question. I said, well, I need this book. Can you get it and scan it or take pictures of anything for me?
Yep.
And he said, sure, man. This was in June. And by July 14th, this is my friend Mitch Stewart. It was about a month later that he says, I go there all the time. No, it was like 6 weeks later. He's like, okay, I got the comic.
Right.
I was like, great. July 24th, flooding. Literally, he sent pictures. His house is half underwater. He said he got out his bass guitars, he got his computer out, and he got the comic book.
He saved 3 possessions.
Yeah, so that was July 24th, house got flooded. September 12th, he sent me scans. It wasn't bothering him after. I don't know, we didn't know where he was living during this time. He'd gone, maybe moved back with his parents or something. I don't know, it was all sorts of craziness. So now we're in October. Yep. And we're finally covering it.
It is that waterlogged copy.
It's like he sent me pictures and it's all water warped. Yeah. The pages are all messed up. I really wonder what the library said when he returned it. I didn't ask him that part about it.
That's assuming he returned it.
Yeah. So
I like to imagine he did.
Yeah. So this comic was written by a guy named Dimitri Logothetis and Jim McGrath, 2 people.
Yep.
And drawn by somebody named Greg McCrary. And there was an editor on this comic named Sarah Mraz. Now,
the first thing I wrote is, how does this comic have an editor?
Yeah. Okay. So it's 18 pages long. You can't find it, as I mentioned. Published by Acme Rocket Fuel, which is Logothetis' own production company.
Of course it is.
So now usually so this is a guy who's been working, I looked on his IMDb, he's been directing since 87. Now,
holy shit.
Usually when a director makes a comic book, after many years, it's not because they're interested in the art of comic books.
Nope.
It's because they're trying to show pictures to an idiot to get financing.
Yeah.
An executive idiot. They're like, we need to show these pictures to people.
We have absolutely kind of tiptoed around this phenomenon.
It has happened a couple times. We have tiptoed around it. We've gone straight through it a couple times, I think.
And, I mean, I may as well jump in right now. I found an interview with Logothetis where someone asked him, what made you want to take this story from its comic book origins to the big screen? And he literally replied, actually, I went with comic books specifically to go to the big screen.
Yes, and I think, so this came out in 2017, so it was 3 years before he got the movie made. And I think, especially when we get to the movie too, I think it's more cynical than that. I think it's more mercenary. I think this is a guy that says people like movies based on comic books.
Yeah.
That's what makes money.
You're right.
So I want to make a movie that looks like it was based on a comic book.
You're right.
To make Marvel money off of it, because people will just hear that it's based on it. He believes we've gotten to the stage in our culture where people hear the words based on a comic book and they're like, oh, that must be awesome. Let's go see that movie that's based on a comic book.
You're absolutely right. And there's a big smoking gun right at the start of the film, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's several in the...
well, it's right through the film.
Yeah, okay, so Acme Rocket Fuel is the production company, and they published this thing. I will say about, before we get to this comic, which is the worst junk imaginable.
Yep.
I went onto Greg McCrary's website, and it's...
This is the artist.
The artist. And it's actually pretty good. He's got a style that's obviously influenced by Genndy Tartakovsky, and it's his own comics on his website are good because he draws them in the way he knows they need to be drawn. There's not a caption in every panel telling you what's happening and then the thing happening.
Yeah.
And then he has to draw. It's not like an illustrated kid's storybook of the captions. It's their actual
exactly
comics. So that's actually pretty good, and I don't think it was the fault of him necessarily the reason this comic is so bad. But as soon as you open it, it's 18 pages, as soon as you open it, the first thing you see is a dude fighting a robot, and the title, Jiu Jitsu. And the next panel is two planets about to crash into each other.
And then the best caption ever...
Yeah. Go for it.
In the history of comics.
They're all the best captions in the history of comics.
All right. These captions just about made my head explode.
Yep.
The first one, what makes planets collide?
Great. Okay, so stop. Pause. First question. Is this set in a universe where planets sometimes collide, or is he talking about the real physics of every once in a while a planet will collide with another planet in the universe every few million years or something? What is this?
What could make a planet collide?
Well, that's his question.
What does make a planet collide? It's great that it's missing one of those qualifying words. Instead, it's what makes planets collide?
Yeah, they just collide. In this universe, they collide. Then the next caption is hard to say. He doesn't know. It just happens all the time. Don't know. But in this universe, in this case, it was a form of intelligence so highly evolved and forceful as to change the course of its own planet. So we exist in a universe where a lot of planets collide, and in this case, one of these planets, they collide for different reasons all the time.
Yep.
But one of these planets developed, it had a form of intelligence which is highly evolved, and it decided it wanted to collide with another planet.
Yep.
It's like, I want to collide.
That's it. No, well, the planet itself doesn't become intelligent. It's its planet.
Okay, so there's an intelligence on the planet, maybe, that said we're going to crash with another planet. So they crash. There's a collision, but then the intelligence form took the physical form of dust particles. So actually, the intelligence was not necessarily people, it was a form. It could have been a non-corporeal intelligence, which moved this planet, crashed it, and then it took physical form as dust particles floating through space.
So you need this full caption to appreciate its majesty. After the impact of the collision, this intelligence form took the physical form of dust particles floating through space.
Right.
Impact and collision are words not identical in meaning, but broadly similar. You probably could have done with just one of those.
Yes. Okay.
After the impact or after the collision?
Yep. Then we suddenly cut to a school teacher. What does a collision in deep space that happened thousands of years ago have to do with Jake McCall? He's just an ordinary college math teacher who doubles as a wrestling coach at Southwestern State, a small college whose major claim to fame is its wrestling team. They brought home some gold this year, and you should see his wife. These are all panel after panel.
Yep.
Great kids too. Yeah, Jake's got a real good life. He's grateful. This is a happy ending for a combat vet with PTSD. This is page 3, by the way. It's suddenly dropped on us. Jake served in Afghanistan. He saw his best friend get killed. Blam! Then there was a bad explosion. There was a bad explosion are the exact words of this.
And then the next bit. Then later there was some bodies.
And later there were some bodies. He was glad to get home, but even those like a
How are you reading these without cracking up?
He couldn't sleep at night. He couldn't stop thinking about things that had happened. He had recurring nightmares about a monster on the battlefield. During the day, things were fine. Now, we're on to page 5 now. Things were idyllic. There's almost no dialogue. Until one day, he saw a strange man on the street. And this man has a beard. He looks a bit scraggly. He says, "I'm your real father." Jake suddenly remembered seeing the man once before when he was a boy. Then he has a flashback to this man saying, he walks into his house, "I'm your real father." Mom says, "Don't listen to him." Dad says, "There will be no more school. You'll be training every day." And she says, "I'm calling the police." The police show up and arrest this man and take him away, and Jake never thought about him again. It tells us, until now. I said, "I'm your real father." And then this time, police came out of nowhere. And then the dad says, "Jiu Jitsu." The moment Jake heard those words, he became something he himself didn't recognize. Now, okay, we need to pause here.
Yep.
So I guess the assumption is he's never heard the words Jiu-Jitsu before. And this is critical to both the comic and the movie. Jiu-Jitsu, which is a real thing,
Yes.
does not exist in this universe. Seemingly. Because he hears the words Jiu-Jitsu, which you think he would have heard at some stage in his life, but he activates.
Okay, if we assume this is our world, which it's meant to be, right?
Yes?
This is meant to be our world. It's not meant to be an alternative universe with colliding planets and where Jiu-Jitsu never developed. Jiu-Jitsu is a common word.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know exactly super common, but it's
You
not
would hear it.
it's not a great activating code word for your deep cover agent or whatever's going on
Yeah.
here, because you probably hear it a couple of times a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe he had to hear his dad say it. I don't know. It's not clear. Anyway, he kills these 4 cops that have attacked them. I don't know why the police attacked them. They were just attacking the dad,
It's not
I guess?
explained yet. It might be because...
Oh, yes. Okay, we might get an explanation for this
Because
later.
of Brax.
Yeah, okay. And the dad disappears after he kills these cops. So Jake turns himself into the police, and the cop says, "Go home and get some rest." The police captain told him nobody was dead. So now we get a mystery. Where did the cops go? The dead cops. Jake got lots of sympathy, but everybody told him he was imagining things. So he goes to the VA in the next town to get treated for PTSD. This is all panel by panel, just happening.
Yep, Kumar's reading the comic out.
And the guy says, "I'm sorry, there's no record of you ever serving in the armed forces." And he's like, "I was there in Afghanistan. I have the nightmares to prove it." How do nightmares prove that you were in Afghanistan? I don't know what his logic is here.
It's something a cool action star might say.
And then
I was in Afghanistan.
And the guy said,
I've got the nightmares to prove it.
The guy says, "You still have your dog tags?" I guess he doesn't. He says there was suddenly no proof any of it had happened. He wasn't sure what was real anymore. And then from that point on, suddenly everybody was trying to kill him. Why? There's no explanation why suddenly. So I guess from the point he met his dad, now everyone is trying to kill him, or
Right.
maybe after he was activated, his jiu-jitsu was activated. So he's fighting everybody all the time, but finally one guy, this guy named Akio, which is a Japanese name, kidnaps him and takes him to a cave in China. And he explains that 2,000 years
How'd they get to China? What were they in the I'm pretty sure they were in the US, right?
Yeah.
How did they get to a cave in China?
He woke up on the other side of the world. "Where am I?" "The battlefield, son, where you belong," the dad says. So Akio explains, everything you know is wrong. 2,000 years ago, floating particles from outer space entered the Earth's atmosphere here in rural China and took forms in human brains and have controlled human bodies by altering memories ever since. Friends turns against their neighbors, their fears excited by false implanted memories of betrayal. This sort of mind control was and is a tool meant to prepare the way for an invader clan of shapeshifters bred to conquer and devour the planet. I have 20 questions about this. First, I thought this was a form of life that turned into dust. Who are these aliens?
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
What do the aliens have to do
Their planet was
with dust?
destroyed.
Yeah.
Where did they come from? Why do they need to make neighbors fight each other? Does this mean that any time people feel any hostility towards each other, it's the result of alien control?
Yeah. What does having human beings creating fake memories to make people fight against each other achieve?
How does that prepare the way for the shapeshifters? They're
Exactly.
shapeshifters. Can't they just show up?
Yeah. They just show up.
I don't understand any of this.
Because it's gibberish.
Anyway, they entered through the atmosphere in rural China. Why is that important? Why couldn't...
Because Jiu-Jitsu developed in China.
Okay, right. So now we learn that Jiu-Jitsu is the only way. Shaolin monks learned Jiu-Jitsu, and they were able to fight the aliens using jujitsu. But my question
Shaolin monks.
right. But there's no explanation of why is jujitsu the only thing that can beat them. If a fist can hurt them, why can't a bullet or a grenade?
Right.
It's never explained. It's not like they have some magic jujitsu magic power or something. It's just their fists. They're just normal. It's Shaolin. Okay. Anyway.
So Shaolin monks. Okay, so this is okay. You've got great questions. For me, it was just jujitsu is a real martial art.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's a real, fairly modern Japanese martial art based around, I think, grappling and joint locks mostly. There's also a Brazilian variety.
I think it had Chinese origin.
Okay, fair enough.
But that doesn't matter.
But I mean, jiu-jitsu is a Japanese word.
Yeah.
This is a Japanese style of martial art.
Yeah.
Shaolin is a style of kung fu.
Yeah.
That is practiced in China.
Yes.
Okay. Shaolin monks learned jiu-jitsu is a ridiculous statement.
Right. Right.
It's
right.
just, it's like something an 8-year-old would say.
Well, here's
as
what
the
he
password
says.
to their clubhouse.
He says, they developed a combination of spiritual discipline and physical perfection with ideas of physical fighting that began with the ancient Greek athletic competitors, then came to India through the Persians, to China with Buddhism. The system became known by the Japanese as Jiu-Jitsu. And then Jake says, those words, Jiu-Jitsu, what do they mean? And Dad says, you've known Jiu-Jitsu all your life. They often spell it Jiu-Jitsu and Jiu-Jitsu in the same panel. Twice this happens in the comic. Okay, so the only people who were able to fight the mind control of the invaders were those Shaolin monks who studied and practiced jiu-jitsu. Why? Why is being able to punch something able to prevent the mind control of the alien dust that you're breathing in?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Why did the Greeks have to invent it?
Yeah, so then it says jiu-jitsu fighters from all over the world have taken
incidentally,
part...
Kumar, Dimitri Logothetis is Greek-American.
Okay.
Which might be why the Greeks...
Yeah, that's got to be in there. I have a lot of questions about the movie in that respect, but we'll get to
There's also I don't know if this is the time to mention this, but there's also a mostly discredited theory that Asian statuary of the Buddha was originally inspired by Grecian statuary that was carried over by Alexander the Great when he conquered the northern Indian kingdoms.
Okay.
The Gandharan Buddhas are supposedly influenced by Greek statuary. So he might be appropriating that kind of like...
okay. I have other questions
myth
about the movie
but in
respect to the nationalities of people. Okay. Jiu-Jitsu fighters from all over the world have taken part in this secret battle to contain a very dangerous presence in our world. As many generations of bred fighters have fought this war, the invader has agreed to a final fight. Our best against their best as a way of deciding this unending war. So
which invaders? Is it the dust or is it the shapeshifters?
Well, we're assuming they're the same thing. They're these guys in these big robot suits.
No, they're not the same thing though, because it says they're preparing their way for a race of shapeshifters. It's a different.
Okay, well,
surely.
Okay, but why? So what happens if these Shaolin monks lose the battle? That means the aliens just get to take over the world. But then they've decided that it's going to be our best against their best, and then so they've decided that okay, it's down to this. We're just going to have a tournament, which I kind of was like, okay, this is great. This is like Bloodsport or Kickboxer or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have a tournament comic. Fine, I'm all in. Okay, so they start training these guys to fight, but then this big alien Brax shows up. And he tries to mind control Jake, even though they have this agreement that there's supposed to be a duel. Yeah. Like there's supposed to be a tournament. Why is he breaking the rules of his own thing? He says like he can't control himself or something. Then finally on page 16 we get a silent page, which I think maybe Greg McCrary was like, look, I gotta have one page in here for me where there's like there's no caption boxes, and he's like trying to kind of he's trying to illustrate the fear that Jake feels dealing with this giant robot monster. The Brax threatens to attack, and Akio tells Jake, don't look at him, whatever you do, and then Jake says, if I can't look at him, how am I supposed to fight him? Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, and then it says, to be continued. And that's the end. There was one other Jiu-Jitsu comic, I think it was called Sacrifice.
Wow,
which
really?
came out in like 2021, I think, after the movie or something. But I don't know how hard that one is to... I only found it on the Acme Rocket Fuel Facebook page.
Did you see the art?
They just had the cover on there. I didn't take a close look.
I didn't.
I was just amazed that it existed at all.
Well, it might have gone for a movie tie-in.
It was 2021.
Trash.
Yeah. And that is this whole comic. I could not understand. I read it twice, and I basically reread the whole thing right now, and I do not know understand anything about these aliens or...
Maybe they needed a second editor.
Yeah.
So,
what was the editor doing?
Yeah.
I can't believe there's an editor credit on this. As if the editor somehow made this easier to understand. What was it like before she came on board?
It basically reads like an 8-year-old wrote it.
Yes, very much so. This happens, and this happens, and this happens. It does remind me of the comics I used to make as a kid.
Shapeshifters arrive, and why does a planet explode? Now, what makes planets collide? That's a question a child might start a comic with. So essentially, Dimitri Logothetis has the writing skills of a child.
Yeah.
And the directing skills of a child, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay, so now 2020 we get this movie. Comes out from Acme Rocket Fuel, which was the production company founded by Logothetis. They've taken over the Kickboxer movies, incidentally, which I've heard the new ones are actually okay. I haven't seen them, but I've heard they're returned to form. What was the thing I wanted to say about this? Oh yeah, so this comic is 100% a pitch.
Yep.
But I think the other telltale sign that it's really a pitch is that so little of it made it into the movie. Like, the details that are in this are not what they cared about. Like, about him being a Afghanistan vet with PTSD. Everybody who's on Earth's memories are being manipulated by the aliens. All these plot, none of this stuff is in the movie.
No, the space dust, colliding planets, that's all left out.
Yeah.
However, key things do make it in, though. There are other beats.
Yes.
For no real reason to keep them.
Yeah.
The name of the villain, Brax.
Yeah.
The father, spoiler.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll get to that. So it starts out, we get comic book panels.
Okay.
Much like the Ang Lee Incredible Hulk, but even more pronounced. And I think we saw this in maybe Prince Valiant, the second one, or was it the first? One of them had like comic book borders and panels on screen.
I think it was Prince Valiant, the second one.
Yeah.
And I think of critical importance here, it doesn't look anything like...
No. They've used an app, I think, they've used a Comic Eyes filter on like some sort of MacBook app to make screenshots from the movie look like panels.
Another thing, as you say, where this comic Jiu Jitsu was literally just to show someone and then throw away, they haven't even bothered to reuse the art from the comic in their comic book movie based on a comic book.
Yeah.
So no panels of that artist's, his name's already left my brain.
Greg McCrary.
None of Greg McCrary's art makes it in. They could have used it at the start.
Yeah.
Instead, as you said, they use extremely generic-looking filters.
Yeah.
Certainly, they throw a filter. The opening credits are just terrible. Just a mess.
Yeah.
Like there's a crappy filter, just like a crappy visual filter over just a lot of kind of like footage from the movie.
Yeah.
And yes, as you say, like panels with borders and a caption.
So we get, the first one, it says, the caption is the comet, and we get this comet approaching the Earth. It's a caption that says, like a comic book.
Yeah.
So they're really trying to sell it as legit. This movie's legit because it's based on a comic book. What they're trying to create this artifice, which is so weird. It's so weird to think that we've got to a stage where anybody would think that.
It's so
I don't know that we're at that stage yet.
It's so I just find it so cynical that they didn't even use the art from the comic they commissioned.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get a man running through the jungle, and there are hundreds of these like high-tech ninja stars that are flying past him. None of them hit. Whoever's shooting these things is a total stormtrooper. This guy's running a straight line through the woods, and none of these ninja stars, these super high-tech ninja stars, are hitting him at all. Finally, one does cut him in the back, and he falls in the water, bangs his head. He falls off a cliff into like a sea or something, and bangs his head. And then we get the opening credits, which, as you said, has these stupid comic book filters on it, because it's pretending to be based on a comic. It's actually kind of a mockbuster in a way, this movie. It's like kind of a knockoff of a Marvel movie or something in that way. And then you get literal page turns, like you get this effect of like a comic book page turning sometimes.
It's so cynical.
Yeah.
Like, this will get the Marvel fans in. Also, you released this movie in 2021. It's a bit late for your Marvel movie cash-in film.
Yeah.
Please, this guy.
Okay, so he gets fished out of the water by Nicolas Cage.
Does he? I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I watched this movie twice, and I noticed it both times. So it's a fisherman. It's a fisherman and Nicolas Cage, Fisherman of the Water. Now, you're lucky that you didn't notice it, because if you notice it, you're like, wait a second, why didn't Nicolas Cage nurse him back to health, take care of him, explain things to him? Instead, Nicolas Cage, we'll get back to later, leaves him with the fisherman and the fisherman's wife to patch him up. Like, why? Why? You have a relationship with this dude. You know who he is. You've deliberately come here to fish him out of the water. You made the effort to fish him out, and you're not going to do anything about him? Okay,
I might make a note of that.
All right. So, the fisherman's wife takes him to a local army base. She enters very easily. She just plows through on her bike, and they're like, "Hey, stop!" And they don't. She just keeps going, and she's on this army base, no problem.
Incidentally, the fisherman and his wife are the only Asian actors in this, aside from Tanuja.
No, there two of the other jiu-jitsu fighters are. In fact, the main romantic interest, JuJu Chan.
Oh, you're right, of course.
And one of the other girls is actually...
All right, I stand corrected. I suppose what I'm thinking is that in this film, supposedly set in Burma, these are the only extras that can... And incidentally, the woman is clearly speaking Burmese, but I couldn't understand at all, like I was saying. I'm not even 100% sure.
That was, I think, supposed to be a joke. That was... So that you mean the American interpreter guy?
No, not him. No.
Okay.
Her husband.
Oh, you mean the husband?
The fisherman's wife is speaking Burmese. But her husband is speaking... It might be a dialect. I couldn't make any of it out. Okay. So maybe he was just a guy. It could be some other... Yeah, but they got one Burmese speaker for their movie setting.
So this guy was... this guy is taken to the army base. He's interrogated.
Oh, man.
Okay, so this actor...
By the way,
I want to mention... So this actor's name is Alain Moussi. He's Canadian. And he's a stuntman.
Yeah.
And he has been in Dark Phoenix... X-Men Apocalypse, Shazam, the Arrow TV series, the Supergirl TV series, Suicide Squad, X-Men Days of Future Past. He's been in Smurfs 2. And I also noted that he played Batman on the Titans TV series on Netflix in one episode. He doesn't have any lines. I saw the clips online on YouTube. And
comic book movie royalty there.
Yeah. But he's mostly a stunt guy.
Yes, right. He was acting in these movies. He was in these movies. He wasn't necessarily acting.
That's right. Except for
playing Batman, I suppose.
I don't even think he really
did. He have lines or
no?
Right.
You just see him in the suit from behind. You don't even see his chin. He just kills a bunch of dudes. I don't know what's going on in that show.
Have we seen the tattoo yet at this point?
We do see it during the interrogation.
All right, I can wait till then.
At least. Okay, so this woman's trying to interrogate him, and it takes forever and doesn't make any sense. None of the things that happen in this interrogation, she's like, are you...
I want to talk... sorry, go on. Yep.
No, you go ahead. I'll try to pull up some of these lines.
You think about what's going on with the interrogation, and I'm going to talk about, I'm sorry, this film, it barely had any purchase in my mind after I finished watching it.
Yeah.
I forgot it almost immediately, so I'm going to spend a lot of today talking about Burma.
Okay.
It's exciting for me to watch a film set in Burma because I spent like 20 years of my life studying.
Yes, but by the way, the comic was set in the US and China.
Yes, and I don't know why this film is set in Burma.
Why? That's where they got their tax break, I guess?
No, Kumar, they didn't go to Burma.
What?
No, they didn't film there. They filmed in Cyprus.
Okay, so it's got something to do with the temples.
They want some sick temples as the background.
Yeah, so that's why
there's footage of Bagan. So Bagan is a 11th century city in central Burma that's famous for its hundreds and hundreds of stone pagodas, which there's a plain of them that goes on stretches for miles and miles, and you can go up in a hot air balloon and you can float over it, and it's a great tourist attraction when the country's not currently under a military dictatorship. So we've had some shots of Bagan. That's meant to be the valley of the temple. So, and I just assumed when we're watching, I'm like, oh, that's Bagan. Why are they in Bagan? You can't have a military. You can't have the U.S. military. Can't be there.
Right. I wondered about that.
The U.S. military can't be doing an operation in the middle of Myanmar.
Well, only one person knows why they're there, really, and that's Rick Yune. Right. His character knows the secret mission they're on. Everybody else, I don't know what they think they're doing there.
Yeah. Also, there's no ocean near Bagan. It's in the middle of...
Right, okay.
So it must not be... It's not meant to be that. It's meant to be some magic place, I suppose, on the coast.
Okay.
And is it even... It is meant to be Burma, though, because he says, "Where am I?" during his interrogation.
Yeah, so he's lost his memory. This is important.
Yes.
Because now we've got the Bourne identity, where he falls off the boat, hits his head, and doesn't remember that he was a secret agent. This guy's like, I don't know anything about myself. She thinks he's a mule smuggling radioactive materials. The dialogue is so crazy, it's impossible to follow the logic of what's going on
Specifically,
here.
plutonium.
Yeah.
Plutonium is not a naturally occurring element.
But they know there's radiation coming from the temples.
Right, and they think it's
They
plutonium.
think it's plutonium or
They think
something.
he's a
But she has some
plutonium
sort of lines like, "Who are you doing it for? We know it's not the Chinese because they wouldn't come near." Or something like, well, what's the logic of any of this?
All right. How much talking about Burma is
keep
too
going.
much talking about Burma? All right. Next thing. So the translation jokes, the hilarious translation jokes. The actor, the translator.
Eddie Steeples from My Name is Earl.
Okay.
Who I liked on that show, but here is reduced to being the funny black guy.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
He can't speak Burmese, incidentally.
Well, he's not
tones are
supposed to.
all
I think that's a joke.
Okay. So there's
The joke is he keeps him mistranslating
Of
what
course.
he says.
But I mean, it doesn't sound. Yeah, of course he doesn't. How could he?
In fact, there's
But they
one
didn't get
line
anyone to teach
specifically
him.
where he goes like "uni, moony, doony," like he's just making sounds,
Of
and
course.
it's quite obvious that he
Of course,
has
of
no
course,
idea.
of course.
But
there's a gag where
his sergeant is like, "I thought you were supposed to be an interpreter." I'm like, "Wait a second, he's the interpreter.
Yeah.
Why don't you actually have an actual interpreter here?"
Yeah. You're in Burma, okay? Why don't you have a Burma? But the joke is
Yeah.
just that he's like a goofy guy.
Yeah,
He's a
He's a
goofy
goofball, yeah.
slacker who's eating chili from a can when he's supposed to be on patrol or working or interpreting. Anyway, there's a hilarious joke where the fisherwoman says that he's been injured in the temple.
Yes.
And then I think, what does he say?
He got hit in the temple.
He blew up a temple, or he blew up a pagoda.
He thinks he got hit in the temple. Is his initial misunderstanding, and I'm like, wait a second, homonyms aren't the same in other languages.
They absolutely aren't, Kumar.
So how did this
joke
joke
Of course you know
work?
that as a translator. And in fact, it's doubly annoying because the Burmese word for temple, and this is only a slight exaggeration, is literally like the very first word you learn when you study Burmese.
Right.
Because there are temples everywhere in
Yeah.
Burma. It's PR.
Yeah.
This translator would absolutely have known that word and the difference.
Yeah, not only that, he's actually supposed to be. There's a line at the end of the movie which suggests that he's a good translator because he's found all sorts of government secrets about aliens and stuff through his translation work.
Oh my god.
Okay.
That's not what translation is. Oh my
Anyway,
God.
okay, so he's being interrogated by this woman, and there's an amazing scene where she thinks she pulls this object that he had, which looks like a Geiger counter,
Yeah.
a radiation counter, and she's like, what is this? Is this yours? And he's like, yeah. Like he remembers that somehow, and she lets him handle it.
I completely forgotten about that.
And then he gives it back to her. I'm like, wait a second. If you're interrogating someone, would you let them handle a piece of unknown equipment
Yep.
that you found in their gear?
Yep.
This is craziness.
Yep.
Every moment of this whole interview, and then she's like, he said, and then she says, what do you use this for? He says, I don't know, locate radiation. Wait, so he remembers that it's for locating radiation, but he doesn't know his name or anything else. And then she sees the tattoo. Or no, they notice the tattoo and they say, what's that tattoo? And she says, I'm trying to get him to talk. She's asked him lots of other stuff, but for some reason she can't ask
So
him.
the tattoo, it's a picture. What's the picture? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But there's also some mysterious symbols underneath it.
Oh, right. I couldn't pay attention.
It's very mysterious symbols. Or maybe not mysterious.
Yeah.
It literally just Burmese and it says, can you guess what it says, Kumar?
What does it say?
Jiu Jitsu.
Oh, great. Jiu Jitsu, the secret.
It says Jiu Jitsu in Burmese. Jiu
Okay.
Jitsu.
So now he actually almost breaks out, and then we get our first fight scene. Now I have to say, compared to Fist of the North Star, which was punch, cut, impact, cut, recoil, cut, there's actually some moves in this movie, And his first move was like this kind of like Aikido thing, this wrist lock. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And we get 2 or 3 hits before we get a cut. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But I think we're at the 15-minute point now. And I'm like, if it's a martial arts movie, it can be as dumb as it wants to be, but I need fighting from minute 1. Rather than CG laser discs that are flying by this guy. Yeah. And, okay, so she hits him with True Serum. He still doesn't know anything. So she suggests to take him outside for a walk, as if that will jog his memory. There's some weird lines about this, too. Oh, hang on.
Well, he gets in a fight with them, and none of them have a gun, remember? They all just...
Okay, I found the line. You know what I don't understand? This is the interrogator. How the hell are you still alive? We already know that there are excessive levels of plutonium there. She's talking about the Valley of Temples. We know this. We don't think the Burmese know about it, and the Chinese, they'd be too smart to try to sneak this by so they don't know. What does that mean? I don't even understand what it means. Okay, so she decides to go for a walk with him as if that's going to jog his memory.
I think the cover story, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. Is it you mentioned that the soldiers are there on a secret mission that only their commander knows about. Presumably he's told them that they're there to find radiation because people are smuggling plutonium.
Right. Yeah.
I hate that makes sense. It doesn't make much sense, but there you go.
By the way, she also asked him who gave you that stitch job, but they know it was the fisherman's wife because she brought them there.
Jesus, yeah, you're right.
Okay, so they go outside she thinks the fresh air is going to jog his memory. I don't know if this is how you normally treat people you're interrogating.
Yeah.
But then suddenly we get a cut to a caption, again, a comic panel, and a caption that says a reunion. Suddenly, Tony Jaa shows up on the base and beats the crap out of a bunch of dudes. There are hardly any cuts. There might be some cheating.
There's almost no cuts, yeah.
And the camera's following him as he moves through the space and beats the crap out of all these guys. And I was like, great, I'm here for it.
But yes, go on. I'll let you talk and then I'll have a talk.
But again, it took way too long to get here. Now... So then it turns out that it's not only the same moment that she's out walking around with the guy with Jake outdoors.
Yeah.
And he hooks up with Jake and he disarms her. She pulls a gun on him and fires, but somehow the bullet doesn't hit him. He just removes the gun from her hand, and then he clasps hands. He does like a predator handshake.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, with Jake, and he's like, we got to get out of here, and he leaves with him. But then later in the next scene, Jake reveals he doesn't know who this guy is. I'm like, why? Why did you give him that arm? Why didn't you say anything, or why did you shake his hand as if you recognized him when you didn't?
Hilariously, okay. Did you read the Wikipedia article for Jiu Jitsu?
No.
Okay. The synopsis is really funny.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's bizarre. I wonder if it was written by Logothetis himself.
Okay.
Because it mentions that and in the plot synopsis on the Wikipedia article, it mentions that Jake recognizes Tony Jaa by a secret handshake.
Wow.
Amazing.
That is a leap in logic for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
This this action scene didn't thrill me. It certainly wasn't Extraction with its one take 15-minute long action scene.
No, it wasn't in terms of one take, but in terms of martial arts, it was better than Extraction. Tony Jaa was in this, and he was flipping around and beating these guys up. A bunch of people were firing at them very randomly, much like the laser discs, the laser shuriken. People are just shooting, and none of the bullets hit anything.
The effects aren't good either. The bullet holes don't look good. The bullet effects don't look good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of whooshes and whizzing. Unrealistic sound effects.
Also, the thing that happens is once they connect, it shifts in and out of first-person camera work. So sometimes...
This I had a big problem.
Sometimes you get first-person and you'll see Jake's hands as if you're Jake and you're fighting these guys, but then he'll stumble forward and he'll be out of first-person, and then he'll back up into it again. It's like, what?
And you'll see his hands coming out as though they're your hands going whoosh, whoosh. And then we also get Jake's perspective as well.
Yeah.
He also does it. And he even gets kicked and goes, ow!
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I was completely taken out of the film. I felt like I was in a theme park ride.
Yes.
You know how sometimes...
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, where you sit in those seats and you have a screen in front of you.
No, I agree. Yeah.
It felt... That's what it felt. It was the camera was always jinking left or right, or...
I think we've got
a lot of shaky cam.
I think this movie doesn't know what to do with Tony Jaa. In fact,
100%.
That's only a symptom. The real thing is that he's not the lead of this movie.
Damn right. I mean, I've seen On the Bark. That movie is so good.
It's so good. And he was in Fast 7, and Paul Walker beat the crap out of him at the end of it. I was like, really?
Yeah, that's
so. This is the thing that kind of is happening to him now when he gets hired for these movies. But I mean, why isn't he? Well, because it's a white savior at the end of this movie. Really, it's the Alain Moussi Jake character that is the one that saves the world at the end.
You're right.
And Tony Jaa, skipping way ahead, at the end of the movie, he's alive. So the whole team everyone's been killed except him. We get a close-up shot of him breathing, and he's alive. And at the end of the movie, he doesn't come back. And he doesn't even show up in the final scene to reunite with everybody else. They just forgot that he was a character in the movie.
That's terrible.
He's not dead. Why
So
couldn't he save the day? It's really bad.
But I think I completely agree. He's absolutely wasted.
So he takes him out. Tony Jaa takes Jake out to a field where he meets a bunch of these other dudes that are dressed in these kind of robes. And they are like, "Don't you remember us?" And by the way, the boss man of these is played by Frank Grillo, who is Crossbones in the MCU movies. He's in a bunch of those.
Okay.
And he's also going to be a voice in the upcoming DC Creature Commandos cartoon.
Cool.
So they're like, "Don't you remember anything?" And they're like, "Well, you told us we're going to do this," and it's a bunch of confusing dialogue. And of course, Jake doesn't remember anything. He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then they get attacked by the Predator. So we get this alien, which is invisible and also has like heat, infrared, or vision. Like, what? It's like a double ripoff. I can understand ripping off one of these concepts.
Invisibility and heat vision.
And heat vision. Yeah. Okay, so they fight this thing, but then the army shows up because they're still trying to collect these guys. So they have to fight the army. Very long sequence where they fight these army guys in the street. And I was looking at I was like, we're like 25-minute, 30-minute point here.
It's getting close to it's getting close to 40 minutes.
But something crazy happens, which is Jake gets captured again, and the girl ties him to the same chair and interrogates him again. The same room.
This is like that.
And we've gone through 15 minutes of this at the beginning. I was like, what? I've never seen a movie where they go back to
a previous scene.
And do it again.
And do it again, yes.
You know what? I have seen it. In Tommy Wiseau's The Room, there's a sex scene which uses the same footage 2 times. Like, there's 2 sex scenes, and it's the same footage both times, and it's almost like that. I was like, I could not believe
why they went back.
But then he's like, because I guess he's fought the alien, he's like, you got to get out of here. Trust me, you got to get out. And she's like, well, I believe him, so we got to evacuate the base. So the whole base evacuates into the jungle, and they're attacked by the Predator. The Predator...
Incidentally, the Predator's heads-up display, that we see his point of view.
Yes.
There's his alien language is there in the corner. I'm sure you noticed.
I didn't notice that. I noticed the world map on one corner, which is the same as any world map on Earth. Like, the same orientation and everything.
Yep. Why would he have that?
Why does he need that?
And even greater, even better, Kumar, his alien language.
Yeah.
It's just Burmese.
Really?
It's just it's the Burmese script.
Well, you know what? Because I remember in The Matrix, all the code, that green code is Japanese katakana mirror flipped.
Yeah, that's cool.
I was like,
it looks great.
Yeah, but if you know what it is, you're like, why is it that?
Yeah, well, they haven't even mirror flipped it. It's literally just Burmese letters there on the screen.
I don't know if that's worse or him needing... He doesn't need a world map. The temple is here where he's going to fight. Why does he need to know where the rest of the world is?
Exactly. Well, he's threatening the world, isn't he? He single-handedly is going to kill 6 billion people.
Maybe.
Remember?
Maybe. I'm not sure about these facts. We'll come back around to this.
He needs that map in order to be able to find everyone on that planet.
Okay, so by the way, Rick Yune, who plays the head of the base, is also in Battle Angel Alita, which we will get to it.
I want to go back to the alien language. This is why I started the podcast with speaking Burmese. Burmese is not an alien language.
No.
This is annoying.
Well,
this Burmese is it's not 2,000 years old. It's fairly modern. It's about 1,300 years old. About 1,300 years ago, it first appeared in Burma, and it has clear antecedents in Southern Indian scripts. It's based on the Brahmic script of Southern India. Okay, this alien, it's implied that this alien brought Burmese to
Well,
Burma.
I never picked that up because it's script, right? And I don't know if any other viewer would. I think there was some lazy thing that happened there.
Yeah, well, it's
or
just
maybe
like,
it's okay. Maybe
they
it's
haven't even flipped it on
Okay,
the, at least
so-
they flipped the kanji on the side. or
Yes, but,
katakana
okay. So
or
I
whatever.
think that I think you've actually maybe spotted a deep thing that they tried to do in the movie, which was hide a little contextual thing that. I think that if a very eagle-eyed viewer would be like, "Oh, the aliens made that language."
Yeah.
But they already
Aliens
also
built the
say,
pyramids.
unlike in the comic where the Shaolin monks came up with jiu-jitsu, here the aliens, it said out loud that the aliens gave you jiu-jitsu. Now this to me is very much like saying that the temples, like the pyramids were built by aliens.
Yep.
It's implying that brown people cannot come up with this stuff on their own. It has to have been invented by an alien.
This is, yeah, exactly. This Burmese is a real language. It's the daily language of many millions of people.
Yeah.
It wasn't brought here by aliens.
Yeah.
It has a long history and a huge and a large literary corpus, and it's intimately connected with older languages, and it's derived ultimately from a Southern Indian Brahmic script. It's a piece of human history.
Yeah.
It's not
And so is
a
jiu-jitsu.
prop for
Yeah.
your fucking film.
Yeah. Okay, so the whole army party gets attacked by the Predator, and the flying discs are shooting everywhere again. They're hitting almost nothing. There's dozens of these discs flying around. They hit almost nothing, except when you need a guy to go down, and then they go down. But literally, they're whizzing by the head of the translator, the Eddie Steeples character, Tex, I think his name is, and so everybody, the few that survive, run away. Jake happens to fall down a hole. We get a comic panel again, a caption that says the rabbit hole. He falls down a hole, and down that hole is Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage immediately throws a knife at him and then attacks him.
Yeah. Why?
And then they start fighting. Now, why? And also, since he saved him at the start of the movie,
Why
he pulled him out of the
attack him now?
water. Why are you attacking him? Also, what are the chances
That
he would fall down a hole that leads right to where Nicolas Cage is living? He's built this big place with furniture. He's got a piano in this hole in the ground.
How did he get a piano
How do you get a piano down there? How did Jake go down? There's a line of dialogue which suggests that the alien wanted him to fall down the hole. So he maybe herded him in that direction. It's very shaky. There's a lot of... I think because he wanted Jake to be... maybe I'm giving the film too much credit. I think he wants Jake to be reactivated. I think he wants Jake to have his memories back. Because what...
Does he know he doesn't have his memories at this point?
No.
How
he does
would he
not
know
know
that?
But he knows that he's being a crappy fighter or something, and he wants him to be in full form. Because what we learn is, very soon we're going to learn that what we've got had is a most dangerous game situation, where this alien comes to Earth. It has taught jiu-jitsu to humans so that it can fight 9. Every 6 years, a comet passes Earth. When the comet passes Earth,
Which also doesn't happen, by the way.
A portal opens in the temple. Alien comes through. Alien wants to fight 9 people.
Yeah.
If it kills 9 people, then it goes back home happy.
And gets a good fight. If it gets a good
Yes.
fight, so again, it's just,
If it doesn't get a good fight,
So
it
this-
gets upset and will destroy
and it will kill
entire
6 billion humans.
villages, everything, whatever.
So it will kill everyone in the world if he doesn't get his fight.
Well,
I'm pretty sure that-
yes,
I'm pretty sure they say that,
They
yeah.
say that, but they go back and forth on these things in this movie all the time. He says he's going to raise villages. Sometimes he says it's going to destroy everything around here. Sometimes he says it's the whole world.
Yeah.
Everything.
Can't even keep it straight.
It's impossible.
I guess because he has that world map, he's going to destroy the whole world. It'll take him a while.
Oh, yeah.
He only
if he
walks,
doesn't kill
basically. He
9
only
people.
moves around.
Oh, and the
at a
problem
walking
is
speed.
there's something like once the
How's he
comet
gonna-
goes over the temple.
How's he going to get to Australia?
I don't know, but once the comet goes over the
Does he
temple,
swim?
then the portal will close, and he'll be stuck on Earth, and then it'll kill everybody. So there's something about that too,
I don't
which I
even
couldn't.
remember. I was checking out by this point. I got to tell you. God, I had something to say, but I've forgotten it.
Rick Yune character is seemingly killed by the Predator as well. This is kind of important.
Oh yeah, it was the Predator thing. So not only do we have the invisibility and the night vision, but we also have the alien hunter,
Yep.
as you say, most dangerous game. The alien hunter seeking a worthy opponent, which is precisely the plot.
Yeah. And at the end of the movie, they even set up like wood trap, like stake traps and stuff to try to kill it.
Yep.
And also the blade that flips out of his wrist, I've seen that somewhere before, where he flicks his wrists and the blades shoot out.
Right.
I couldn't remember where though.
The Predator has
But
blood.
yeah, so here's the line that Nicolas Cage says. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to smarten you up. Must have been a pretty bad fall. He wanted you here. And then Jake says, who? The poet warrior in the sci-fi sense. What does that mean?
That's a really good Nick Cage
Spaceman.
impression.
Oh yeah, and he's got this thing where he says, I make hats out of newspapers. And he actually has a hat made out of a newspaper, which I don't know how he convinced the set dresser. He's like, I'm gonna do this thing, I don't know what.
It is a Burmese newspaper.
I want to know what was going on with him on set. Was he like, I want it to be this? Because I heard recently that actually every line in Vampire's Kiss was scripted, and he didn't ad lib or improvise any of it.
Right.
So I don't know if he's planned all this stuff with like wearing a newspaper hat in the middle of this fight and stuff like that. And he says, "You are right this minute, exactly where he wants you to be, and it is over. Ball in mid, game match set, checkmate." Okay, so then the other warriors who we last saw on the street fighting the army, they come down into Nicolas Cage's little hovel and they take Jake to the temple. And here's where they explain. Now, here's the first explanation.
Okay, finally. The movie's been going for like an hour at this point.
46 minutes.
Okay. Oh, that's a bit less than an hour, okay.
He looks at the portal, which is closed at the moment. He says, Jake, he comes from there. It's the comet you see in the sky right now. It passes over the Earth every 6 years and causes a portal right here. But when it's open, we get a visitor from a distant galaxy. I mean, he actually comes here from a place millions of light years away, looking for a fight with you, the chosen Jiu Jitsu. That line, what does that mean?
Yeah.
That's so Jiu Jitsu is the name of a person? Okay.
Yeah. Is it a title?
And if he doesn't get it, he stays and he kills everything. He taught our ancestors how to fight him. Then you took an oath, and that's how he did it. That's how he gave you jujitsu.
What?
Wait, so what does any of this mean? So you took an oath, and then he gave. I kind of like that he's used jujitsu as a noun or as a title,
right.
And now he's using it as the name of the martial art, because that's like the comic where they say jujitsu and then jujitsu in the same panel twice.
Yeah.
So you took an oath, and that's how he did it. That's how he gave you jujitsu. So
What?
you say, I promise I will fight this dude. How do they choose these warriors?
Yeah.
I promise I will fight this dude, and when you take that oath, you get given jujitsu powers, I guess?
Yeah.
Which I guess all of them did 6 years ago?
Yeah, it's such gibberish, isn't it? And what? And it says if you don't beat him, then he kills everybody.
Okay, I'll get to that.
He hasn't done that, clearly.
But they give them these cloaks that hide them from the Brax. Sounds a lot like Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yep.
by the way.
Yep, it sure does, and it's this name straight from the comic.
Yeah.
Not a name that's easy to say in Burmese.
Yeah. Okay, so the Frank Grillo character says to Jake, this is when they're walking towards the fight where the place where the fight's going to happen, I guess. He says, I don't know how much you forgot, but it better not be this. Look up. You see it, 12 o'clock. By the time so looking at the comet, by the time he gets to those trees, it'll be dark. Fighting Brax in the dark is not what we want. We want to bring the fight to him before then.
Why?
I think the portal's going to close if it reaches the woods or something. And he says, we got to find him. We got to lure him out. Get the edge. He says, what happens after dark? If Brax doesn't square off and kill us by then, the hole doesn't close and he stays. Everyone dies. Everyone. Okay. And then... Okay, now, the same scene. Nicolas Cage says, you look puzzled. Are you puzzled? I mean, I get it. I'm puzzled. I'm real puzzled. There's a comment. There's a portal. There's Brax. Why don't I... And then Jake says, why don't I remember any of this? He says, don't worry so much about what you don't remember, which is pretty much everything. The main thing is to focus. You remember how to do that? You've been preparing for this fight your entire life. So he took the oath as a little kid. And then Jake says, that makes sense. Fighting that son of a bitch. It makes all the sense in the world. It does? Yeah, you gotta fight him. Even if it kills you, you gotta fight. You get your honor back. Now Brax fights 9 fighters. Fight. And then he goes home. But if any of the fighters refuse to fight him, he devours. He devours anything that walks, flies, crawls. I mean, he destroys entire towns and villages. Now you might actually you might actually have to die. But as long as you die bravely, no one else will have to. Not for another 6 years. That is Alien Politics 5 through 15.
Bunch of nonsense.
Well, does any of that add up to anything? I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. How did these guys learn about Brax?
But there's not even 9 of them. There's 10 of them this time around, because Nicolas Cage was from the last fight, and there were 9, and one guy got killed right out of the gate as soon as the creature appeared, and the creature was supposed to kill. So the creature appeared. We get a flashback. Brax appears out of the gate, out of the portal, and he's approached by the first guy,
Yeah.
And he kind of literally waves him aside with his hand and points at Jake.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that guy looks like he's the good fighter.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, wait a second. You're supposed to fight 9 guys anyway. Why would
There's
you wave
9
one guy
people here.
aside? You're supposed to fight all. None of this.
Doesn't make sense. And then Jake runs away.
And then Jake
So
runs away.
He breaks.
He ran away.
He runs away, and which is why I suppose Nicolas Cage fished him out of the water.
Yes, but then why didn't he kill everything when the guy ran away? Because Nicolas Cage just said if you run away, he kills everything.
Yep.
Whole villages.
Or is it not until the time runs out? Until the portal's meant to
they
play?
don't
It doesn't
tell
matter.
us.
We're given 10 different explanations. Oh man, and they're just standing around waiting for him as well. Brax is not invulnerable to damage, right? This is the thing. Like we see.
Yes, but he heals. This is
dumb,
the thing. He heals after 5 seconds. You get this because the guys go up. They build all these predator traps for the thing.
Yeah.
They try to fight him. They say that you have to fight him one at a time. In fact, Okay, a bunch of guys stay behind to fight. They know the predator's up in the trees. They're like, okay, we'll fight this guy. One guy stays. There's the one black dude. He fights him. But then 2 of his buddies show up. They try to fight him at the same time. They all get killed. Later on, Jake meets up with the Rick Yune character, who's still alive.
Yeah, he's the leader of the U.S. Army.
And he tells him, he asks him, so how does it work for you guys? You have to fight him one at a time? And Jake says, yes. And I'm like, wait a second. The previous scene, 3 guys fought him at once.
Yes.
What are you talking about? You said that you showed us this visually in the movie.
Yeah.
Rick Yune tells him also that when he gets injured, you got 5 or 6 seconds. You got a window of 5 or 6 seconds before he heals. That's your chance. I'm like, wait a second. These guys have been fighting this thing for 2,000 years? And nobody figured this out?
Yep.
They needed this information from the U.S. Army. This guy's been fighting for 24 years. Rick Yune reveals that their secret mission was to take this guy down.
Yeah.
And he's been trying to do it for
24 years.
And he's figured out this thing that nobody else has seen in 2,000 years? I don't get it. Why didn't they know?
And, Brax takes damage.
Yeah.
He can take incapacitating damage.
Yeah.
And then he very slowly heals.
Yeah.
It takes about 5 or 6 seconds. You just cut his head off. Cut his damn head off.
Yeah. Also, he's distracted. Fire messes with his heat vision.
Yep.
Why didn't they notice this in the last 2,000 years?
Yep.
They've somehow figured out how to make invisibility cloaks, which hide them, but they never, not once by accident, somebody figure out that fire. And he appears in the temple, and the braziers are lit.
Yeah, that's right. Also, they were just waiting there for him in that room. They know where he's going to come from through that tunnel.
Yeah.
Just dig a hole under him. Dig a hole under him.
Yes.
He falls in the hole and then push rocks on him.
Yeah.
There you go, bam. Brax is defeated forever. We don't know. We know heaps about Brax's motivations. We know his damn name. We know what he wants, when he wants it, how long he wants it for, who he wants it from. And what he'll do if he doesn't get it. We know comparatively. On the other hand, we know nothing about the jiu-jitsu people.
No.
How they pass.
In fact, there's some of them. There's 9 of them. One of them was killed before the movie started, but there's some of them have like one line. And there's a guy with a kind of mohawk that's in the background of a bunch of scenes. I'm like, who's that guy? What?
Yeah. We never find out how they train, how they pass on their knowledge.
We get a scene of them when they first arrive, because a few of them come to collect him from Nicolas Cage's house and take him back to the temple. Some of them are already at the temple training. They're kind of... And they got some kind of like glow sticks, like magical glow sticks or something.
Are they a secret society? Are they a secret martial arts
This is the
school?
thing. How did you get chosen?
Yeah.
He said, why did Nicolas Cage say you are the chosen jiu-jitsu and then say you took the oath, that's how he gave you the jiu-jitsu? Those 2 lines make no sense with each other. And then he says you've been training your whole life for this. How long is this whole life? Yeah. Was he 4 years old and then he took the oath and that's how he was chosen? Was he chosen or did he take the oath? Which is it? It's one or the other.
This is just, it's too much. I can't. It's too much.
I even think that line, "Are you confused? I'm confused," might have been ad-libbed. I don't know. Okay, so they have a big fight. As I said, Tony Jaa fights him. The suit, they did a good job building the suit because the guy, whoever the stuntman is in the suit, can move really well in it, and he's doing martial arts in it.
It would have been cool in a different movie.
Yeah, I agree. It looked very similar to the suits I saw at Weta Workshop when I was in New Zealand a month or two back.
Right.
And there's a room full of suits, and it's like, oh my God, these are awesome. And it was very similar, and you realize how much work takes 4 or 5 hours to get the guy into the suit, all that kind of stuff.
These like mocap suits?
No, they're like just armor that they built for like Power Rangers and stuff like that.
So cool.
And they have to build like multiple copies because of like there's burn damage, and you have to have 10 of those for every scene in the movie from that point to that point, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's like this suit was kind of amazing looking at it. I don't know what company built it, but it was like they did a pretty great job to build a thing that somebody could do martial arts in at that level.
Yep. So should we just
so they fight. So basically, all the guys are killed. As I said, Jake reunites with Rick Yune somehow, and JuJu Chan rescues him from the battlefield, and they've had a past romance of some sort.
Right.
That's kind of the romantic angle there. She reveals to him when there's 15 minutes left in the movie that Nicolas Cage was his father.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage has since been killed at this point. Yeah.
He's killed. Yeah. Everybody's dead except for JuJu and Jake and Tony Jaa, who, as I mentioned, was shown alive, but never comes back.
So disrespectful.
Yeah, I don't know what I really wonder if there's a lot of stuff cut out of this movie, or a reshot, or put in, or something like that. Because like that seems like a kind of thing like in the test screening, Tony Jaa died and people didn't like it, so they included a shot of him showing him alive. You know, just to plug it in there. I don't know. Anyway, so suddenly oh, by the way, there's a shot in this movie in this scene when she tells him his father is alive that is not in focus. I couldn't believe it. Okay, so finally there's a big fight. Oh, Eddie Steeples shows up again. Tex, the interpreter, he shows up with the fisherman and his wife.
Yep. Why they know about they know about
she's known about it since the beginning, the wife, because she said about the comet. She says the comet goes overhead and the thing in the temple's happening. That's why he's injured.
Right.
She knew. But she never took the oath. So they get ready for the big final showdown with the Brax. We have a big kind of martial arts fight. He's dazzled by the fire. Eddie Steeples' Tex shows up and he tosses some grenades over to Jake. And at one point when Brax is injured, he shoves the grenade into him so that he heals over the grenade, and then he does a running kick and kicks him into the portal, and he blows up while he's inside the portal, and then the portal closes, and that's the end of the movie. And then Tex or somebody says, "We'll see you again in 6 years," which I was like, wasn't this supposed to end all that business?
Yeah, didn't you just blow up the tunnel?
The tunnel might be. Maybe did you kill the hunter?
Maybe there was different Brax every 6 years. We just don't know.
Oh, maybe he's 2,000 years old.
Lucky detonating a grenade inside that teleportation tunnel didn't have some kind of catastrophic...
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like chain reaction and destroy the Earth.
No, yeah.
Incidentally, if you can easily carve holes in Brax and shove things in him, I think you probably could have killed him before now.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't think it needed US Army guy to come up with the idea of putting a grenade inside him and having him heal over it. He just really doesn't heal quick enough to recover from catastrophic damage.
Yeah.
You don't even need to put a grenade in him. Just put a rock in him, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to be fighting with a big rock in his
he doesn't even really react to the grenade going in there. He's not like, there's something inside me. It's like he doesn't even notice, and it's a grenade. It's like a significant thing to have inside your body that I think you would feel it.
Just put a bunch of leaves and sticks, and dirt. He's going to get septic. His healing is pretty advanced. Maybe he's got a pretty good antibiotics.
Maybe.
You just put a dead bird in there, Kumar.
Yeah.
Cut him with a sword and put a dead bird in there.
Put a live bird in there. Even worse.
Man, this film is terrible.
Yeah. It's really bad. Okay, I think that's it. Anything you wanted to... Do you have any trivia or anything you want to add?
Trivia was pretty short on trivia for this film. I don't have a lot. The budget... So this film was a pretty serious box office flop.
Sure.
As you can imagine. The budget was about 25 million. At least 25 million, possibly a little more. Box office take, $99,924.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is harsh.
Yeah, really bad.
I think they paid for the cynicism. I think.
Yes, that's right.
I think they thought. Oh, it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't matter because it's a comic book movie.
Yep.
Or they tried to sell it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Cynicism doesn't pay, folks. It was filmed in Cyprus, as I said. I know about this because the Wikipedia devotes a large section of its article to how to describe it, beef between the filmmaker and the Cypriot Attorney General.
Wow. Okay.
There was the Logothetis agreed to film a series of films in Cyprus to take advantage of a tax break.
Okay.
Much like the Vault of Horror, much like Amicus films, right? With Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt. He travelled to Cyprus and did all his filming there in order to get a rebate on the money he spent there from this Cyprian government in order to, create jobs for the locals, to stimulate the economy, etc., etc. Fairly standard kind of scheme. Apparently, after the movie did really badly, the Cypriot Attorney General or someone highly placed who was in charge of the scheme is refusing to pay the money.
Oh, right. Okay.
Refusing to pay Logothetis' production company the money they're owed for the tax refund because the movie didn't do good, which is hilarious because that's not how the scheme works.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. They made those jobs.
That's right.
People got paid, yeah.
It's meant to reimburse them for the money that they spent producing the film in the country, not on box office receipts.
Yeah.
And Logothetis has made this point, but apparently it's like, no, your movie sucks, we're not paying you any money. And he's since pulled out. He's refusing to shoot. He's refusing to shoot Jiu Jitsu 2 there. Or apparently some more kickboxer movies.
Right. Okay.
So apparently they'd hired people. They were ready to start shooting, but that's not going ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all I have on that.
Okay. Okay, let's do our ratings. I think I know what's going to happen. I think it's going to be unprecedented.
Oh, good.
Okay, comic.
That's an A.
Straight an A. I would say...
I wish he hadn't saved it.
Yeah, I'm going to say Greg McCrary.
From his flooded house, Kumar.
Yeah. I think Greg McCrary's comics are good on his website. I think those should be checked out. And I'll even put the link to his website in the
That's very generous of you, considering...
His art's not great in this because I think he's been hampered by Logothetis and Jim McGrath's stupid ideas.
Yeah.
And stupid writing. They don't understand how comics work at all. Just caption after caption. It's so bad. The movie.
It's nay.
It's so nay.
It's.
I will say, okay, but I'm going to say the things I liked in this movie. I liked the Fisherman's Wife. I liked Tanuja. As much as they misused him, anytime he was on screen, I was like, great, I like this fighting. I liked that they fought without too many cuts between every punch and impact.
Oh yeah, it's much better. It's better than Fist of the North Star. The action is better than Fist of the North Star.
I like that. I thought Eddie Steeples, despite the fact that he was playing a cliched black dude in a movie, was good in it. I thought Nicolas Cage was funny in this weird. He's playing crazy. I think he keeps saying that. Hey, I never mentioned this, but he keeps talking about how he's crazy, and then he says that he said that the alien's not interested in him because there's no honor or there's no legitimacy in killing a crazy dude, but then he gets a long fight with him and he kills him. I was like, wait, again, you've contradicted yourself, movie.
Yep.
Multiple. Anyway, I like Nicolas Cage. I think he might have been playing crazy because he knew the movie made no sense.
Yep.
But I think he likes working. And in fact, he's in Australia working now, despite the actors strike. He is here because I think a lot of indie movies are getting waivers because they're paying scale and they're actually paying the rates that the actors want.
He's in WA, right?
2% increase, yeah. So he's where, and I like him in this movie. And oftentimes he's in crap, but this is crap, but he's good in it for what it is.
Yes, pretty much the only thing I liked about it was Nicolas Cage's performance. Otherwise, a terrible mess. A complete mess from start to finish. I was completely checked out. Even the action, I agree it was better shot in the sense that it had longer takes, but quite often it was goofy and I just didn't care what was happening.
Many times.
Especially that long, uninterrupted one where it was like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So it's Nicolas Cage is absolutely not enough to come anywhere near saving this movie from a nay vote from me.
So, no, of course not. I'm just saying the things I liked, but it's a hard nay. Absolutely. But I did think several times. So I watched this movie, I had to watch it twice because we had a delay in recording and I'd forgotten it.
Yes.
And I watched it again.
I can't believe you did that.
And the whole time I kept thinking, this is Jordan's punishment for not liking Our Little Sister. This is what he wanted. There's incident.
Yeah. Very good. Yes, thank you.
Okay, adaptation.
Now this is a tricky one.
I'm going to go hard nay on this because they didn't understand their own comic book. They didn't. All the plot points, almost none of the plot points are in it. The aliens don't look like the aliens. It's not the same location. None of the plot, none of the background of the character is the same. There's nothing. Where's Akio? There's none of that. Nothing's in it from the comic. Almost all the stuff about mind control of all the humans on Earth, none of that's in it. Planets colliding, none of that's in it.
I don't know. Because I think I could come up with as many things that are in it. The name Brax, the father.
The name Brax.
The
There is
amnesia.
a father. The father. That plot doesn't work the same at all.
But
he doesn't show up in the street as a homeless guy in the street, and he didn't try to take him away from his mother
No,
as
it's
a kid.
not.
and
No, I agree.
train him.
It's not exactly the same. But this is, if we have a general beat, it's that we have a secret father that he doesn't remember because of his amnesia. He has amnesia.
He didn't have amnesia in the comic. He had false memories.
That's true. Well, memory.
Not the same at all.
Memory manipulation. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I withdraw my comment.
Okay.
With me, I withdraw my comment, and I agree with you.
Okay.
It is a terrible adaptation,
Okay.
and because they do, and of course they don't even use their own comics art
Yep.
in these panels
Yep.
that keep popping
Yep.
up, which is just, like I said, I keep using the word cynicism. It's just kind of breathtaking cynicism that
Yeah.
they cared so little for their quote unquote source material
Yeah.
that they didn't even use it for the comic panels that they shoved into their film, which is barely based on a comic book.
Yeah.
So yeah, nay.
I think this is this our first sextuple nay?
I think it might well be.
Okay.
The only other thing I have to say is that if it's a terrible adaptation, it's a nay adaptation of its own comic book, and it's also the worst adaptation of Predator ever.
Yes, and The Most Dangerous Game, and The Bourne Identity.
Yeah. And all of these other better concepts that
Yeah.
but particularly Predator, because in a lot of ways Brax is indistinguishable.
Oh, he's up in the tree.
He's
and
in a
there's
tree.
scene when Rick Yune fights him, he actually gets a smile on his face, like, I'm ready to take this guy on. It's such a Predator moment.
Yeah. They build the wooden traps. There's a squad of badass military types that are killed by him.
Yeah.
He takes out the US military force.
Yeah.
You know, he's defeated by fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nay.
Yeah. So that's our first sextuple nay, I think.
Brilliant. I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
You mentioned the things you liked about the film. I'll say one thing that I liked about the film.
Okay.
He asks, when he's first being interrogated, he
Yeah.
says, "Where am I?" She
Yeah.
says, "Burma."
Oh.
And he says, "I thought it was Myanmar."
Yeah. And she says, haha, very funny, or something like that, right?
Pretty much, because, of course, I can explain this. There was a military coup in 1988, and the next year, the military government, which was called the State Law and Order Restoration Council, or SLORC, renamed the country officially from Burma to Myanmar. The United States never recognized the name change. Most of the rest of the world did, so an American would call it Burma,
Okay.
and whatever, I guess a Canadian. If Jack Barnes is Canadian, he would call it.
How did he have the presence of mind to make a joke? Oh no, so he called it Myanmar. Oh, and she thought it was a joke.
Perhaps, yeah. This is I give
every line
it's
of this
very
movie
possible.
does it. Every line of this movie is like, what does that mean?
It's very possible it was a total accident, but I did appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks for that. Thanks.
Okay, please like, subscribe, rate, and review. Please email us. Please join us on Patreon, where you've got no perks for you, but please, we need the money. It's at patreon.com/comicbookmovieoblivion. Please join us on Facebook. It's very active, actually, in a way, the Facebook page.
Kumar is very active on Facebook. Come and keep him company.
We used to have I have a Twitter account where I used to post stuff on there, but they're now going to start charging $1 a year for using Twitter. So
I've heard that rumor. So we may well be disappearing from X.
I might not be on there anymore.
As it's called now, or shitter.
Okay, so next week we're going to look at Astro Boy. I think it's from 2009. It's a full CG movie, and we've got the Pluto Netflix series is dropping, so we're doing this to coincide with that. Should be around the same time.
You look puzzled. Are you puzzled? I mean, I get it. I'm puzzled. I'm real puzzled.
There's a comment. There's a portal. There's Brax. Why don't I remember any of this?
Don't worry so much about what you don't remember.
Which is pretty much
The
everything.
main thing is to focus. You remember how to do that?
Maybe.
Maybe. You've been preparing for this fight your entire life.
That makes sense. Fighting that son of a bitch makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, and you gotta fight him. Even if it kills you gotta fight him to get your honor back. Now, Brax fights 9 fighters. Fight, and then he goes home. But if any of the fighters refuse to fight him, he devours. He devours anything that walks, flies, crawls. I mean, he destroys entire towns and villages. Now you maybe might actually have to die. But as long as you die bravely, no one else will have to. Not for another 6 years. That is Alien Politics 5 through 15.